5 o'clock on a Monday. You know what time it is. Let's do this. Let's hit the books. Part of the Hammer Betting Network, sponsored by FanDuel, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish. I'm merely Brad Powers. Before we get to your questions, comments, concerns for the upcoming college football season, the breaking news that we had yesterday that certainly impacted a certain team's win total. Before we get into all that, let me pay some bills here. We mentioned it already. This show is brought to you by none other than FanDuel, and it might be the offseason, but if you want to bet on college football futures, FanDuel is the Ohio State University, and FanDuel is the place to go. Love betting college football at FanDuel. Why? Because they're first to market, whether it be win totals, national championship odds, Heisman odds, week one lines. They listened to us during the show last week. They put up some college game of the year lines I saw that they added to that. So we appreciate you, FanDuel. But right now, if you're a new customer, you can get $200. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All you got to do is place any $5 bet and you'll get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. What you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/hitthebooks. Download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/hitthebooks. Disclaimer, you must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bets which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Call 1-8778-HOPE New York /New York or text Hope New York in New York. Knish, how was your weekend, man?
What's up, brother? You know what? Pretty good. Some nice weather here in God's country in the Midwest instead of the 180. You brought the heat wave with you, a few 2 weeks ago over the Vegas weather, but now a little bit cooler, a little bit more Midwest summer. Enjoying it, and now I tell you what. I'm getting in the zone now, baby. I've been in the lab. I know that's what people say in the guy, but yeah, I know that's a cliche, yeah. But I've been really locked in here, eating away at just ton of preview stuff out there, really getting into it. So, and you know what? You can feel it now. You can feel it. It's close. Fall camp getting ready to go. So yeah, ready to get close and get some football on the table.
Yeah, fall camp's going to start here. I mean, we're sitting here June 30th. I mean, it's going to start in a month. They're going to open up training camp, so very excited for that. We'll be going through all 9 conference previews throughout the month of July. I don't know how many live shows we're going to do. I mean, the 9 conference preview shows should wet the beak a little bit. Hopefully that keeps the people, Moretto and company, at bay. So hopefully that keeps them happy. But that'll start next week. Looking forward to breaking down. We'll break down every team. I'm not going to guarantee that we'll talk 10 minutes on every team, but we'll give you thoughts whether, hey, we bet it, we didn't, we're fading, we're buying, maybe wait a little bit, sell, hold, you name it. We'll talk every single team as we do the conference previews. Again, that'll start next week. But I did get a text from you yesterday. I was on the farm. I actually worked the day at the farm, kicked my ass.
Wow. I didn't know. Right.
Lo and behold,
I didn't know you were on the field. It's not just the culture, folks. Yeah, this man, he puts the brand behind it here, out there, clearing the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, it kicked my ass. But lo and behold, I'm sitting on the back porch taking a break from it, and I get a text from you, BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff, looking to be, first it was reported 7-game suspension, and then obviously looking to transfer, going to be, not with the program. So, boy, you had to be quick to the trigger on that one, because most of the books had it pulled by the time I started looking. I tried to get some bets in at other places, not FanDuel. FanDuel didn't have it up, so kudos to them. That's a book, Look, if I was a book, I'd pull it down too. I mean, come on. If I got to the news before me, I mean, it's always that cat and mouse game, but they had it down. Other books that had it up, this is my problem, wouldn't let me bet. So they rejected it and then took it down. That's what I hate. So that was, I was able to get some under 7.5 plus money before it completely went off. One book had some conference wins that I thought was really good, and that's the bet that got rejected and got me fired up. But yeah, I don't think he's a great quarterback. I'm not a huge fan, but he's certainly the downgrade to what they have as backups. I think it's worth at least 3 points. Somebody asked me. That's always going to be an average quarterback in college football for me is worth about 3 points. So we'll see what they got. They got the Utah State kid, that Hillestad kid, 5'10". He's not very good. They got that Western Michigan kid. He's okay. I think what'll end up being the starter at some point will be the true freshman Bear Bachmeier. I do like that kid. I've seen film on him. I thought Notre Dame should have gotten him, but they went in the Deuce Knight sweepstakes instead. So that'll end up being the quarterback. I wasn't high on BYU to begin with. I think they're, stock market, the drop after winning 11 games. They were going to have some regression as it was, even with Retzlaff. But did you get anything down or whether it be yesterday or even, before that?
I was able to get a little bit. I was probably, even when I sent it to you, I think the news had broke maybe for about 15 minutes already. So I wasn't really like on the quick trigger. I will say the BYU, they keep saying that is one where there was no chirp. I didn't hear anything in the weeds or behind the channels that was coming. A couple of things on the story too, that I know this isn't the Friday gossip show, but he gets charged in the civil suit, which then triggers the honor code violation, which what a way to, for everyone to find out that, you've had premarital sex, maybe. And then the civil suit right after this gets dropped. And so I don't know.
What happened? We got a spy?
That's
a Utah spy?
Can he go back and be like, no, none of this even happened. I'm out of the portal. I'm back. Apparently not. So I think the honor code's got him and he's out. The second part of it, as you mentioned, he's not, if you look at last year, 57% of completions, 20 touchdowns, 12 pick. He's not a great player, but as you mentioned with the drop-off, they don't have a lot of established stuff behind them. I did see not only the true freshman they had in, but I think they were trying to reclassify the quarterback that they had in this recruiting cycle to get him on campus because, some of the, in the
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
The 5-star kid they just got.
Yes, to see if he can actually, because I think he's a little older, actually and get him in for this season. I don't know if that's how that can go, but we'll see if that's even a potential possibility. So we always touch on market based. Obviously, if you didn't get in already, you've kind of missed the boat. I mean, there was some juiced 8.5. There was plus money on 7.5. Most of the markets corrected now, to 6.5-ish, even come down a bit on that. Where would be, because again, don't think he was fantastic. I guess I'm going to look in. This would be one of those to see, keep an eye on camp reports to see where it's good. Where at the point is it a little bit of an overcorrection? Because they do have a very manageable, especially first half of the season, in terms of the opponents they're playing.
I'm not there yet. I think if you pull up the FanDuel, I think they put it back up. Kudos for FanDuel. They put it back up at 6.5. That seemed like fair.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there yet. If they win an extra half win or a full win, then I would be buying. I would be taking the other. Because you're right, I did take some 8.5. I took it when the news broke, months ago that there was when there's always a possibility, and especially a serious charge like that. I went ahead and bet against BYU in a couple markets just in case this happened. But other than that, you didn't hear any news. So I was actually thinking that, I guess everything's going to be okay, but I guess not. But 6.5 seems fair. I looked at it right before we came on the air. I was like, that's a fair adjustment. So did you do anything yet?
No, like I said, other than just, chasing a bit as the news broke. I agree with you. I think 5.5 gets there? Maybe a heavy.
No, because the 6.5's already juiced to the over.
Yeah,
so
I don't think so either. So I doubt there'll be a real buyback for me. If it was to come down, most places do half wins now. Even if you gave me a flat 6, I think that's probably a bit of an overcorrection for a player that I don't think is fantastic. But I agree, 6.5 now, a little juice to the over seems right.
All right. You got any other news that happened?
I tell you who's starting to heat up on the old recruiting trail, baby. Don't let us get hot. Don't let the local boys get hot. went from, everybody, Michigan's in the 50s, Michigan's in the 30s. Now, all of a sudden, you top 10 class, and they're not done. I tell you what,
not.
old
We
Lou
talked about
Rasmussen-
this last week.
Yeah.
That they were going to go on a heater. Not the only one. Alabama, Georgia,
Yep.
a lot of them. So, but we said, hey, these next couple weeks are like the most important weeks in recruiting because it's going to be done. I mean, the coach is going to take their one and only vacation. Camp's going to start, and it's recruiting is not a priority. It's always a priority, but not the priority once we get into camp and the season starts. So, yeah, it's been a fun. Actually, I've seen a lot of comments about it, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, the last couple of years, recruiting. I know you've been excited with Bryce Underwood and whatnot, but I've kind of been like, ho hum about recruiting the last couple of years. But it feels like there's been some renewed enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. Just the market overall, more and more people are talking about it. So,
do you think that's driven from a lot of teams that have maybe gone heavy portal and maybe overspent their allocations, of maybe haven't seen the payoff or the results outside of, you got an Indiana in that, but for the most part, I think a lot of school, number one, the portal, very similar to like free agency, you're paying, 2-3x what a guy's actually worth, or what a guy's to his talent level, versus some teams now that maybe even the playing field with some of the agreements coming up, but maybe it's a little bit more level. Everyone seems to be in the NIL space now, as opposed to, I don't know, 2-3 cycles ago, you might have had an Oregon and Texas A&M that are, throwing huge chunks around when everyone else is like still just dipping their toes in. So think some of it's level playing field. Some of it might be, I don't think we can build a team through the portal.
Good question. I'm not sure yet on that. I know. I think some of we're getting a lot of recruiting news because isn't it starting that new ruling starts and then like the next week?
Yeah. Yes. But
so
again,
I think they're trying to get deals done. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, hammer them out before that actually goes into effect. But then it's like, is it the first day in effect? Is like 8 people going to sue the NCAA? Yeah. I don't know. Like, how much is it? And then isn't there ways to get around it where you can like, instead of paying them through the allocation, just kind of like have a back channel of like deal collective? I don't. The enforcement here seems questionable for what's upcoming.
I don't know. I mean, we're in portal has been. I don't know. The teams at the top for the most part, are. I'll use Marcus Freeman because I'm just most familiar. I think they're minoring in the transfer portal. They're not majoring in it. I mean, look at the top 10 right now in the recruiting classes. They all have 20-year kids, and I'm talking for next year already. It's a who's who in college football at the top. They're not, going out and get 25, 30 transfers every year. I mean, that's not how I'd build it. So, yeah, I'm not sure yet on that. I see in the chat here. Sorry, I got distracted because I see a lot of BYU stuff. Arthur asked, we're good to go on BYU under 7.5, right? Yeah, if you can still find that.
If you still got somebody sleeping.
Yeah. And speaking of sleeping, John Hudson, under 8.5 minus 180, still good? Not good. That's awesome.
That's Johnny, that's more than good, baby. That's take the kids' college fund on that, and if you want a 2-win middle, you can do either side. So those are good, guys. If I know they didn't advertise books there, so they probably want to keep that quiet. Yeah, I was going to say probably like John's friend in Provo or something that still believes in Trayshawn Bouguet or whatever.
They're in rare form. John Williams, where's the BYU quarterback transferring to? I don't know. Have you heard any suitors yet?
No, I think this was, again, obviously, like there was the initial mention, but as we got close here, I was in your boat. I was like, it looks like nothing, like they're not going to announce or nothing's going to happen. And then my guess is he just didn't have any feelers out there or anything, for this to come to fruition. And so he's kind of starting, especially now, like when fall
it's too late.
You're just super late in the cycle. Everybody's got their guy lined up. So he's probably going to have to
FCS.
if he wants a job right now, FCS, if he's, someone will pay him to, be a backup or something. But that's the thing
Yeah,
is
that's
like,
a good point.
is he like, do I think Jake Retzlaff is like my guy, a year for, if I want to, sit him and then he's my guy, he's not that great of a player. So,
Yeah. And then there's, I know that the case just got dropped, so I don't know, but there's just, is he worth, I don't know. I wouldn't be going out to get him. I can tell you
no, I
that.
agree. Like he's, I think he's a very replacement level type guy. So,
Tom in the chat. And Austin, I'll save your question for a little bit later. He's got a week 1 question. Tom, thoughts on Michigan State over 5.5 minus 120? I haven't bet Michigan State yet. My numbers say under. Out of respect, this is how much respect I have for Jonathan Smith. I haven't bet it yet. I do think they're going to be better than last year. How could they be worse, especially how they finished? Where are you at? You're close to the program, and there's not a lot of optimism when you look at the recruiting front. You look at I don't hear much, so that I don't think that's positive.
No, there is not a lot of juice. I mean, you really have to, as you said, I think you've really got to believe that Jonathan Smith can take a guy, because again, didn't have a great recruiting class. And they're not following up with another great. This recruiting class isn't looking, super enticing. Didn't have a ton of portal, so at this point, it's kind of a talent gap here. Of I don't know what the real ceiling is for this roster. In terms of like, could they get to 6 wins? Sure. Have I bet under 5.5? No, but they've got a really rough, the way the schedule broke out for 2025 in the Big Ten. And it's just not a program that has a ton of juice at the moment. In terms of, especially on defense, where from the transition to the Tucker era to the Smith era, they lost like every great defensive lineman they had in that. And some of the guys they were playing last year at the defensive line, the linebacker secondary was brutal. I'm a little bit more optimistic on offense. I think their offensive lines, can be okay. Nick Marsh, I think, kind of potential NFL superstar guy. The Childs experience has been, it's like one game, it's a roller
He's got to cut down on turnovers.
He has to. So I don't know. I mean, I think gun to my head, I would take the Smith. I don't know if you want to call it Smith legacy.
Schedule. They're gonna pull an upset to get this.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. The numbers say under. The gut kind of says that he can get to 6 wins. But with that said, that's a long-winded way of saying that, that's not a bet for me at 5.5.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe as we get maybe I get some fall camp reports. I'm not afraid to, as we get closer, to have some action on that, but not right now for me. 20 MC20 thoughts on NC State at 6.5 wins. Think it's a fair number. Like the quarterback. They've lost a little mo. They're not getting. Speaking of a program not getting a lot of pub, North Carolina stealing a lot of their headlines. I bet over, but I mean, no longer available. Not at 6.5.
Okay.
Number not available now. But I thought about 6.5 should have been the number compared to the number I bet. So
yes, some guys I work with actually came out on the under. So yeah, that one's kind of been a mover so far. In terms of the market, I think you've had people obviously like yourself on both sides. It's funny because we just talked Aiden Childs, CJ Bailey, a little bit of kind of a, I don't know, similar profile, a little bit of roller coaster, a lot of turnovers. Not been the typical, it seems a little bit we're going away from what worked a lot at NC State for a long time, maybe a Dave Doeren, that type of program where they were a little bit more, the defense would always be a little bit better than you thought. They didn't have a lot of, game changers either on off. Like I remember sometimes you'd watch those games last year and it's like, this team has no juice on offense. Like watching them against Clemson, it's like they don't have a single person and get any separation, get open in some of this stuff. I'm bearish on NC State. So
you're not alone. I mean, week 1, people betting East Carolina against them. Yeah, that one's moved a couple points. Week 1 line. lose their DC, who I have great respect for, Tony Gibson. I don't
That's
know if he's going to be a good head coach at Marshall, but great DC under the radar.
yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. Yeah, I understand. I think my numbers right now I have it like 6.4 though, so it's a pass. Brian A in the chat, would you go over or under Wake Forest 4.5 win total? Under for me, but I got another one where I got a better number. I love the number I got.
Ryan, that's one where a certain service gave out the under not too long ago. So it was 5.5 for a while. At 4.5, I'm a pass. And then that's more just based on the level of competition. I think they'll play not so many games where it's like that. Games where I don't have a ton of respect for the opponent. And I think they could be at least, a chance to get to 5. And so I think I just wouldn't chase the number at that point, even though I'm not in love with a lot of different things that are happening at the program right now, including the new regime.
Fabulous one. Any game of the year standouts so far? I bet about 10 of them. I don't know if a lot of them are holding serve yet. Let me scroll through them. I'll give you one. I still think anything over a field goal for a game on November the 29th is holding some value. I can't get Ohio State to 5.5.
I
know it's not a lot. You don't want your money held up over.
I probably put that bet in. I don't know, the first show we did. I think
it was 8.5.
Yeah.
I still think my number would be Ohio State 3.
Yeah, I'm with you because, again, I think the Michigan defense is going to be really, really good again. And I know that with the losses and that, and people are going to say, oh, Joey K drinking the Kool-Aid and stuff. I think the defense will be just fine going in this year. And it's how much of a step back does Ohio State take? That's more of that. I think Michigan, there's a little bit more. I think the defense will still be very good. I think they'll run the ball. The passing game can't be worse. So you're kind of looking at least maybe a small incremental improvement in the passing game. Ohio State, do they go? And because it's a very tough team. Because the team at the end of the season that was in the playoff, that with that scheme, the last 3 games was significantly better than the team we saw for the majority of the regular season. Yeah. So it's a little different as how much can they fall back or come back to earth. Obviously, you don't love the Matt Patricia hire. You don't love some of the other, I just overall as a staff, not big, but again, it's not like they don't have talent coming out the years, but I'm with you. I think anything especially if you're getting, 5.5, 4.5 there. Yeah, I don't hate
scrolling through it. There's not a lot of stuff I bet's moved a point or so. We'll maybe talk more of that as it becomes more widely available. But I will say kudos to FanDuel for posting them. They got a bunch of them up there. If you're interested in a good menu for game of the year.
I will just
another market that I don't want to be. I'm trying to be positive. Feels like some of the values dried up. I would bet the Hall of Famers in Vegas. And I would just say, that's off a touchdown. That's off a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, I would sit there and be like, I didn't bring enough money with me. I just so I'd run out. So I could tell a bunch of stories on that. So,
yeah. I remember even, a couple years ago, whether it be, South Point or whether it be even the Circa ones.
Yeah, there was a few of them that were off.
Yeah, that were they just sometimes they'd be moving a ton. I agree. It's not it's not your older brother, not your uncle's game of the year market anymore. No. I will just one observation. I'm not saying go and run and bet all these because if the team, I think our opinion of USC, especially because I see you wearing the hat, is they're a little, the market thinks, or at least the pricing on them thinks they're worse than kind of what we would feel. Because, they're a pretty heavy dog in a couple of their big games.
Yeah, I'll give one. That was the one I was going to give. SC against Notre Dame, 12.5. That's
okay. That's
if you want one right now, SC. I bet it. So, and it's not like I bet it at 14.5. I tell you, I bet it at 13.5. So I like that one. It does concern me that if Notre Dame wants to run it up. I think they will because there's a lot of bad blood. But just from a old school power ratings, I mean, Notre Dame's only been favored by this much over SC one time in like the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And I think another reason SC is going to come into that game with maybe one loss, but I think there's a decent chance they might be unbeaten. So that number's not going to be there come game week, in my opinion.
That's and you know what? That's a good. I think that's a great way to look at just game of the years in general. Is kind of looking as a little bit of the lead up of what that looks like for each team. And I'm with you. And just in general of where I think USC is relative to kind of some of this pricing. So, yeah, no, I give it, I got the rubber stamp on that one. I think anything USC, will call it 11.5 or better in that game. I think makes sense.
Sam Licata with the super chat, $1.99. Thoughts on Clemson, Boise, 10 wins plus 161 parlay. I think FanDuel's got like, I thought that was intriguing. They put up like 2+ wins, 3+ wins. Did you see that? 4+?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could parlay some of them.
I was just going to say, I didn't know, Sam, good. Not only you super chatting us, I didn't even realize you could, let me see if you can mix and match 9 or. Yeah, you can. So basically you can mix. I mean, you could get really. Yeah, you can. So you can basically take them to win X games in any of the sections, 2+ through 10+, and parlay them together. So if you want like an old, if you're on Twitter, a Fosen poker, minus there, just put all the minus the thousands together and want to, bridge jumper there. But no, that's interesting. I'll actually play around.
I'm not good enough in math to do it off the top of my head. But I can tell you, I have a lot of Clemson over 9.5 in pocket. Boise State over 9.5 is heavily juiced. Haven't bet it yet, but I certainly would lean that way. I think 10 is probably the correct number there. So I can think of worse bets. It's intriguing to me. I didn't know you could parlay them. So
no, it's yeah. I was going to say that'll be a little fun to play around with. We might have, you know what? It's too early to go for the officials, but there might be a week 1 head-to-head.
We got a week 1 head-to-head?
Yeah.
You and me?
Yeah.
What week 1? What's the game?
Maybe, LSU Clemson.
You're going to take LSU, what, +3?
Yeah.
All right. So you must know someone that yeah, I'll go head-to-head right now, +3.
All right, let's do it.
Boom. Head-to-head. Wow.
Lock it in, Buzz.
I have to close a window. It's a rainstorm. I'm not used to this. It's not Vegas anymore. I got a window open, so give me a second.
BP getting rained out here. Midwest rain, the old Bowling Green action here. To rain it out. But listen, I know the market here is really low. The Clemson market, I'm going to call it, is about as peaked as you can get here. The prices the natty price have come down. It's open 30. Now the best I think you can get is 13. The win total's up. The ACC price is all the way down in the basement. So, and that week 1, you know what? I let's just say I think it could get interesting, baby.
Mr. Brian Kelly never wins season openers. He hasn't won one yet.
My
Clemson's a little bit better team, and they're at home. So, yeah, I'll lay the 3. We'll go head-to-head. Yeah, I'm sorry. I left the window open, pop-up showers, not used to that. I just happened to look, and it's coming in the window. I didn't like that. So, sorry about that. Thank you for covering. Good, head-to-head. Is that our first one?
Yeah, I think that's the first one on the
and I'm comfortable with it. That's good on a big game. You think it's going to come off at 3?
I think it'll probably trade, 2.5, 3.5. So if you get enough Clemson juice, then maybe there's some 3.5.
All right. I'd like to know where you're getting this info.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. And we have we have UCF win total head-to-head. Scott Frost, the Frost Truther, Joey K.
Yeah, we do. I think I took a bad number there.
They're all bad. It doesn't matter what number you do. When you go 12-0 and you return to Orlando, it doesn't matter what the number was.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Good stuff there. Thanks, Sam, for that super chat. Joe Bo, I think that's how he says it. Imagine wrecking your team's chances because you don't know about soaking like the rest of BYU. I think soaking is a form of act that they do there. I'm not 100% familiar with it, but I think it's a new trend that the kids do there. It's a sexual act. So
I have
there you go.
no. This is a first. Like I
Yeah.
have never heard this term in my life, and I just put it in the old Google.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
I can't.
weird. So
I can't believe. So wait a minute. Is that like that doesn't get you a code violation? He should have soaked. If Retzlaff
yeah,
was a soaker, he'd still be on the team.
yeah. I don't know on that. So
We're wading into dangerous territory here, but
yes, we are.
of course, Joe Boo, famous on Twitter, would for his interest would know this or would have known that.
Sam's got one more. Yeah, that's funny. Wow. Yeah, I read about it like a year ago.
Never heard of
I didn't dive in further
until this moment.
Yeah, you got dynasty things along with you. I like LSU +3 also. Sean Higgs just gifted 50 Hit the Books memberships. 50 of them. 5-0. Thank you, Sean. Speaking of that, Joe Bo is a new member. Love it.
Yeah, Sean, you walk. Yeah, late to the party. You walked in at a bad time. For joining the show here
a little uncomfortable. Yeah.
I'm soaked.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with the rainstorm I just got.
No.
Here. Sam also with one. As a Mizzou fan, I like under 7.5 wins. I lean that way. Haven't gotten to the window yet. Maybe I will. But that's another one with a new quarterback. I want to read fall camp. How's Prabula looking? See, you're going to hear me say, man, if I had seen a spring game, might have a bet in pocket on a lot of these. I didn't see it with my own eyes. So
Sam,
I'm
gonna phrase this. If you like that one, I would bet it.
I think I know why.
I'll
on that.
Leave it like that.
Wow, you got some inside info. All right. You're giving some inside info that I know. So we'll leave it at that. All right. There we go. Kyle, do you guys have any thoughts on Minnesota regular season win total under 7.5 -150? Certainly lean under.
Mm-hmm.
I bet over 6. I mean, it's just a win. I think 7-5 is the most likely result for Minnesota this year. Where are you at on the fighting PJ Flex?
Yeah, I'm with you. 8 is very rich to me, just in terms like at Minnesota. Like it's just if you took everything out of it, right? Before we get in the granularity, Minnesota as a program getting to 8-4 in the revamped Big Ten is a lot. Now they do have a pretty
against a team that we don't like, Cal and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have a pretty cake non-con, and so they could be if they go at Cal and win. You're probably looking at they have Rutgers coming in, but you're probably looking at 4-0 to start the season. Then you got to go, like 4-5 here with the rest of Ohio State, Purdue, Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan State, Oregon, Northwestern, Wisconsin. Could they get to 8?
They might win 4 of them. So
yeah, I know. That's what it's so.
Yeah, I'm not there.
I just think like if you gave me 7.5 -115 -120, I would take it. I think at the -150, I'm probably passing. But I think 7's obviously more likely than for them to go above. So, but it's a little bit rich on the juice for me.
I bet over 6.5. I'm not looking the middle at that current price. That's what I think you need to know. I do bath salt 69. Thoughts on Auburn under 7.5 +135. Number seems high, given Freeze's lack of success in Jackson Arnold. Call me crazy, but I'm slight buyer of Auburn this year. I think Jackson Arnold's a good fit for them.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. They have. I will like
that Baylor game is a big swing game.
That is a big swing.
Huge. Game. They lose it. I mean, Freeze is going to get fired.
Honestly, this is this is a make or break year for Hugh Freeze. Because this roster to me has enough talent to go, 8-4. Even in the SEC, you're talking about it. I think they're loaded at wide receiver. I think the defense still brings a decent amount back. And Jackson Arnold, I mean, would he be the guy I'd pick out of a hat to lead my team? No, but
Better than Peyton Thorne.
he's better than Peyton Thorne, and Freeze, for all his faults, he does seem to get production out of quarterbacks that you don't love. I mean, even some of the guys that they've rolled out since he's been there have not been particularly great. But regardless of your opinion on Arnold, he's an upgrade. He's the best QB Thorne has had, or best QB Freeze has had since he's been in the job. So, and it's the best team he's had.
I bet over 7.5. I think 8. I mean, if it's 7-5, they should fire him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I there's like,
it's got to be 8-4 this year. This has to be an 8-4 team. Otherwise, you're not going to get it done.
No, Arthur, and it's probably, I mean, yeah, that Baylor game is such a swing game.
Arthur in the chat, any thoughts on Rutgers under 5.5? I think it's a fair number. Tough schedule, but I've been impressed with what Schiano has done. That's about where they're at.
Yeah, it's almost maybe not as Michigan State, but vibes wise, program wise, you would say Rutgers. They've kind of been in this slow build since he's been there. They return a lot. Neither of us love the quarterback position there, but they were able to make it work relatively well. For last season, I'm not going to say it was fantastic, but yeah, they're kind of capped out now. Gun to my head, though, I don't want to bet against them not getting to a bowl. So
yeah, this is in the weeds. They made a couple of good transfers. It shows me that somebody knows what they're doing. That Weaver kid, a defensive end from Ohio, and they took another defensive end from James Madison. 2 really good players. I mean, that just shows me that who's ever in charge of the transfer portal, that's what you're looking for, the transfer portal. So yeah, I mean, honestly, gun to head, I'd probably lean over.
I'm with you there. I would, especially, yeah. No, because I just think they're
going to sweep them. I think Ohio's down this year a little bit. They got Miami, Ohio. I think they sweep the non-con, and I think they can get to 3 conference wins.
Me too. I am. Listen, and I know, granted, you have to be they're going to finish, Ohio State and Penn State, so you've got to be there by the Maryland game. They got Oregon too, but I don't like all of the games they play outside of Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State in the Big Ten. I think they're live to at least be competitive and win some of those. And you only need, if you sweep the non-con, you need 3 Big Ten wins, against the likes of Iowa, Minnesota, Washington, Purdue, Illinois, Maryland.
And he's been getting them the last 3 years.
Yeah, Rutgers can win any of those. They can be competitive in those games. And even, listen, do I think they're going to beat any of the big 3? No, but they've stepped up in class and played some of the better teams relatively tough in the last couple of years.
I thought they should, a couple years ago, they should have beaten Ohio State. Had them settling for short field goals. I think they threw a long pick 6. Could have beaten the Buckeyes a couple years ago. Charles in the chat. How are you deep diving some of these G5 teams with so many unknowns, or do you think it's not worth the time? Well, I think it's always worth the time because, I mean, I got nothing better to do. Do I have as many in pocket? No. And what's really worrisome, I want to fade all these new coaches. The problem is 24 to 30 new coaches are in the G5. So there's just zero-sum games. Some of these new coaches that I don't think much of, some of them are going to have to win some games. So I got less in pocket, but I'm still deep diving.
Yeah, I know, Chuck. I know I've said it 3 weeks in a row. I'm going to take some positions on heavy variance earlier in those G5 versus G5 games and see where that comes out. And you know what? Maybe it'll, it won't. Let's just a strategy I think we'll take early and then see how that plays out.
Speaking of that, Austin M, who's been waiting for this one. I got a half unit on Temple plus 1.5 week 1. Thoughts on adding more? UMass does not deserve a home field advantage. I trust Casey Keeler. He's the Temple coach, new one, or an unknown UMass coach. You done anything with this one?
I have not. I got, UMass was a team I probably bet on a little too much last year. I would agree with the HFA standpoint. There'll probably be, more people at a Texas high school game than at, UMass Temple week 1. I do like Casey Keeler just in general on the surface, but it's not one that I've gotten. I don't have a great feel for Temple so far, like going into this year. So it's not one I've taken a position on yet. How about yourself?
I bet Temple, and that's all I'll say.
Okay.
So, but is it my highest? It's one of my biggest power ratings disparities. But what's the confidence level of that power rating? Well, I mean, with 2 first-year coaches, new rosters, game 1, trust factor with either program, not a high confidence power rating. So I have bet that though. Got anything else? Chat's a little dead today. What's going on? I got some breaking news before the show. Certain podcasts coming to an end.
I was gonna
Check that
say,
out.
yeah, I heard. I actually listened. I saw it early today, and then listened to just they did actually a nice kind of breakdown on just all the reasons why. But you're now one of your only locations to see the man, the myth, the legend, Brad Powers throughout the college football season is right here, and it's RIP. And listen, we're not one of those shows that had so authentic. I liked, some of the content they did over the years. Obviously, I listened to your stuff on there. We're obviously talking about Bet the Board. And they did an episode today just on overall what I'll call like the market economics of producing content and stuff. And so I understand it's a grind. It's hard. So thankfully, FanDuel's, has rode with us, and we got a great sponsor to be able to keep this going and all the things behind the scenes that make it happen. But yeah, especially I think I did 11 years. I remember, even before I was like betting real serious, kind of listening to some of those. So they were definitely early to market in terms of, niche betting content. We'll call it like that. That's a little bit, this is never the type of content that's going to have 100,000 viewers, live on that when you're getting into the board like that. But yeah, they were 2 guys I know that you're, pretty close with. You've done some trips with them. And then I've enjoyed over the years. So yeah, a tough one that, hopefully some of the listeners will welcome. We'll try and live up to some of the standard of giving those previews.
Yeah, it's a different show for those. I mean, we're not going to deep dive and go over, 5 games in 2 hours. But yeah, I'll miss them. I was part of that the last 3-4 years, and yeah, but I agree with a lot of what they said about the industry. So
it is very like that granular. And again, I enjoyed some of that. Like I would like to say when you're talking about getting masses or like a segment of people to listen that a sponsor is going to pay for, it's tough. And that's why, sometimes we could sit here and talk college football for 8 hours, but that's not going to, always pay the bills, so to speak. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's just, it's almost like as society changes here, that, a little bit, form of content. And I know as you Dynasty saying, like, I know some cross listeners that, our BP fans or just similar stuff, kind of came over. So it's a little sad for me to, to see that go, because that's obviously the type of stuff that even just as a fan like to listen to. But it is what it is these days, and a lot of
you'll be talking about that, I'm guessing, on the other shows.
We'll definitely touch on it, yeah, and yeah, it'll probably more to come, and I'll hear from because I know obviously you're friends with them. I know another guy I'm close with knows them a little more, so I'd be intrigued to hear a little bit more of the granularity around the why, so to speak. But yeah, not a great day if you enjoy kind of real deal content, what I'll call it.
Agree. Charles said that was a tough news. We need a BP double shift now on Hit the Books. We gave you 3 shows a week last year. Why do you think I was so adamant about getting a contract? So, yeah, you're getting me. So you got me last year for free. But nothing. So that's why. Don't worry. We'll be getting you content here. I'm just looking. The chat got super active after I said that. The chat's slow. Ryan Hart, this year's New Mexico. Boy, I don't know. This year's New Mexico win total 1.5, 2.5. That's over by September. Let me think on that one. I'm not there. Do you got one or no? And it's not Kent State's way down. I'm out. Kent State.
No, I'm out.
Yeah.
No, you're going on that one solo. If we're
No,
doing
I
Kent
know. I
State,
think they can lose to Merrimack. So
yeah, Brent, Kent State as yeah. I tell you what, there'd be another room on this house if it wasn't for Kent State.
So it's similar to the comment I just made. There probably definitely is going to be one, but there's so much uncertainty. I don't know. With the first year coach, I don't know yet. I'll probably get a better feel for that closer to the season. But looking at the teams that are low, I mean, is there really there's a lot of 3.5s on the new coaches, and I'm not betting like over 3.5 on Ball State or Utah State or Georgia State or any of them. All right. Thoughts on NIU over 6.5, East Carolina under 6.5. Haven't bet either one, Micah. Did you do anything with those two teams?
No, I would, and again, maybe I'm just a NIU hater. I've leaned on. I haven't got to the window yet. Especially like that's one I would say I'd lean the under. The East Carolina, there's been some more. We'll call it public buzz, or maybe people who are somewhat respected that are kind of higher on East Carolina. But it's not one that either. If I had to pick one, it would be the NIU under.
Sean Higgs, Georgia Tech, Colorado, the 29th. Do I go over 55.5 or under 57.5? I want under, not high on the Buffs offense. I would lean more towards the under there, but I haven't bet a total yet.
Market wise, I would say you're probably better with in terms of what I'll call a CLV or some value taking this under because I think that'll probably close decent. But in terms of the actual play, I don't know because I think you're going to see, I think, a pretty frantic pace from both sides. How well oiled will that Colorado offense be? And I know someone asked us about Dion in the chat too, of kind of where we think he'll be
on the under. That's the best bet under.
Yeah. Oh, just in terms of the team, we're on under. In terms of like Dion's overall like health and profile, things have been so quiet at Colorado compared to seasons, especially compared to last year where you couldn't I felt like I was in the room for every Colorado practice. Like that's how much content you would see. There is nothing out there right now in terms of where Dion's going to be, in terms of where the program. That's one I will be keeping an eye on in fall camp, just to kind of hear what's coming out of there, how it looks, who's getting the job. Because unlike years past, they're now that his son's got money, now that the production crew's been fired, them and Bet the Board got rid of all the production people, and now there's no content coming out of either. It's a sad day for college football content.
Royal Pain. I've got some Big 12 questions, and we'll get to the best bet here soon. I maybe getting a hint from the producer. He stopped starring the chat. Maybe he wants to get out of here. Royal Pain. Is this year's Big 12 going to be one of the highest variance outcomes and results ever? I thought last year was pretty variant. I mean, you had 100-1 team in Arizona State that was dead last, wins the conference. It's so embarrassing that they're not going to do. Did you see that news? They're not doing a coaches poll anymore.
Yep.
So, I think more of the same. I mean, I think any one of 8 teams can win it. Ripper 925. Speaking of Arizona State, what do we think about them? I think they've been priced pretty accordingly. I don't obviously not expecting what they did last year, but they return as much experience as any team in the country. I'm a big Kenny Dillingham fan. I know they lose the all everything scatterboo, but I am not. Have you bet under 8.5 wins? I haven't.
No, I haven't either. I'm with you. I mean, I agree. It's going to be a fun year in the Big 12. I wish I had some more hot take, some real confident. I know we talked early in the season. Utah was kind of that earlier. You love the quarterback. The prices were there, doing some shows from months ago there but now kind of all the value's been sucked out. If anything, I don't know, maybe I'd kind of small lean under, but I agree. Yeah. Dillingham is,
I don't think he's a one-year wonder. I think that's sustainable there. So
I'm not going to try. I'm not going to Again, my only thing would be just like general program level and all the games of the Big 12 that can go either way. I think a number of things kind of went their way last year. And I don't like to do the running back value thing, but man, there were some games where Scadaboo felt like he was like on a different level, like untouchable and like just carrying them, like literally carrying them to wins. Tough to lose a player of that caliber.
I'm glad you brought up program level, because 99 times out of 100, I'm going to agree with you. I just think Arizona State should be where they're at. Okay. I mean, they've talked about them being a sleeping giants for 30 years. I mean, but
they have a massive student body. They should have a decent amount of money, and I gotta tell you, if you like, if you're if you want to soak really with some very good looking women, that's probably the number one spot in the country. So yeah, I agree. They've been under and Dillingham, man, he's got the young energy, he's got the vibe after last year. They do have juice going as a program. It's just a lot of teams who are around their talent level they got to play.
The old adage, easiest place in the country to recruit to, the hardest to keep them eligible. A lot of distractions, but I do think if anybody can do it, it'd be Dillingham. Sean Higgs, $50 super chat for the producer. Do your job for 10 minutes. Hopefully that goes to the producer there. Obviously it's tongue in cheek when I'm saying stuff. But speaking of Sean Higgs, I thought I saw a comment he was going to pay for a yearly salary. That comment's not that far off, considering Sean gives like $100 a show. So,
12-hour show. Yeah. Sean, I tell you what, we might be able to bring on a few, get Payne over here for a 3-way panel for Sean. Sean, it.
Sean, reach out. They need money. Bet the board. I mean, for what he pays us on this show. I'm joking.
Purdue is a couple people liking Purdue here on the under and the
Purdue under 3.5 wins. Well, yeah, what's the juice on that? Like -200?
I was going to say, I think he quotes.
I'll tell you a bet that I made that I didn't have to lay -200 or so. Conference wins at a book I won't name. I bet under 1.5. Yeah, because I do think they win those 2 games against Southern Illinois and Ball State. So sometimes look at that. I found a lot of those where I wasn't there on the full season, but I got there on the regular on the conference win total, because the math did not add up on that. So take a look at that. But yeah, under 3.5, I agree. They're not winning 4 games, even though I love Barry Odom. I mean, they're going to be a huge dog in every conference game. We got a best bet. I'm trying to think. Well, Dynasty Things likes Georgia Tech against Colorado. We're there on that one. Ripper 925 Sooners win total 6.5 under. Oof. I tell you what, if they go under 6.5, Venables is fired. I lean over.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Ethad in the chat mentioned that I think the conference wins is the exact same bet. So I'd rather lay 175 than 200. So, Charles, BP, is there any bet out there like the Alabama Louisiana bet that I made last year? Oh, wow. The state win total one. Well, I lost, even though I thought it was my favorite bet of all time.
Just the worst beat in the history of the BP career.
Yeah, I lost 10 grand on that bet. I know it doesn't sound like much, but I had people coordinated.
Right, because that's not an easy bet to get that amount of liquidity.
Yeah, I mean, I spent like an entire day trying to get down on that. I mean, and it lost. It's just unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. I cannot believe I lost that. That's a story. Always trying to scale up. And I've had like 5 or 6 of those in my career, and I've lost them all. Unbelievable. I've lost them all. We got a win total bet. You got one in mind? If not, I'm gonna run some by you.
Give me the slate.
First one, Washington State under 5.5 wins. Like it?
I would rub.
No.
Let me go. Give me the options before I rubber stamp.
All right. West Virginia under 5.5 wins. I'm using the FanDuel current lines. So I think still holding some value. Pass on that one. Air Force over 5.5 wins. No. USC over.
I was looking at the juice.
Yeah, it's kind of pricey. USC over? No.
You know what? Let's lock that because it's been a USC. We gave USC game of the year.
Yeah.
We gave we're both high. You're wearing a hat. We're both high on USC. I talked up USC for 5 minutes. Yeah. Give. Let's.
No, I think they should. I'll be honest with you, they're not going to do it because he's got a huge contract and they can't afford it. But if he can't get him to 8-4, they should fire Lincoln Riley. See anything 160 or less there, over 7.5 wins. Boom. USC. Like him this year. Second year, DeAnton Lynn. I do like the defensive coordinator quite a bit. They got a couple of big boys in the middle that they got from Kentucky and Georgia, 320 plus pounders. I like that for the defense. Yep. They lost some depth at wide receiver, but their two frontline guys are still really good. Lemon and Lane. And schedule wise, I mean,
I really like that one. I don't know. I'm such a USC truth. I agree with you. You're not only your breakdown. Like they're going to go 4-0 to start the year.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of a Charmin soft like start to the year, and they've got some games in there. Like
they can beat Michigan. They can beat Illinois. Yep. Not saying that they'll sweep those games, but they got to win one of them. Keep in mind, this is a team that had to lead in the fourth quarter 11 of their 12 regular season games last year. 11 of the 12, and somehow went 6-6. So
I know. And I agree with you. I really like DeAnton Lynn and what they're kind of that defense should be. I think even more improved.
That true freshman 5-star is going to give him maybe some pop. Again, just a pass rusher. I just need him for passing situations on third down. I think he'll give him some pop off the edge.
Yep. I mean, obviously losing Zach Branch hurts because I thought, but
they didn't even utilize him last year.
Though. No, they did. I
hear you.
Yeah, that was the most disappointing thing is that you would think in that Lincoln Riley offense, they would have been able to maximize his skill set. And it just didn't happen. So
I like it. And just to show you, I mean, I bet USC to win the Big Ten. Not that it was 50-1. Not that I think they're going to win it, but man, you give me that. I just think they've been undervalued all offseason market. Bet them against Notre Dame. We already mentioned it. I like fight on USC this year. So I did some, we got Kansas under 7.5. Oregon State over 6.5, Colorado under 6.5, Cal under 5.5, and now USC over, and Ohio State under 10.5. I looked at that show. You had it at plus 132, buddy. Plus 132, you had it.
Yeah, that was.
So that's what we got. If I'm missing one, you guys let me know. I got nothing else. You got anything else?
No, I think that you know what? I like this is good. I like that win total portfolio, folks. I hate to, you know what? I don't want to call it early. I do like where we're at on those. Obviously, we're betting them, so of course I have to like it. But
yeah, I love it. But I mean, I loved last year's portfolio too, and whatever. But you know what though? I will say this: would you rather win the preseason portfolio or the regular season? I mean, what were we 55 during the season? Like,
yeah,
a couple hundred bets. I'll take that again. Sign me up for that. I got nothing else, man.
No, it's good.
Closing thoughts.
Good close. Good strong close. Shawnee Higgs got us motivated. You know, here we were going to end.
Yeah, I thought we were going to end the show early.
Yeah, producers trying to run out and go to watch an AHL game or something. Some minor league crap they got up there. So. Yeah, it's a good, strong finish. Chat finished live. Good stuff.
Looking forward to your show when you're talking some of the news today, both the number 2 show and the number 1 show. I'll be anxious for that. We will, on our front, we'll be doing a lot of conference previews the next month. I don't know if we'll try to sneak in a show or two, a live show, maybe. But right now, we're just the next month, we're going to give you 9 conference previews in the next 4 weeks. So that's what we'll be doing. It'll be long form, half hour plus for each conference. So for the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish, great job for our producer today who goes unnamed. I'm merely Brad Powers. Thank you for all the comments, concerns, questions, super chats. We'll be talking to you guys in the future. Take care. You just watched Hit the Books, part of the Hammer Betting Network, sponsored by FanDuel.